I'm thinking about moving to Las Vegas, and I'm here looking at some property just south of the airport. And there's a nice big patch of land I'm thinking about buying and building on my shop on and my house. The problem is there's a river that runs through the middle. Flash flood area. Travel at your own risk. Well, I'm looking at a piece of property that I'm really interested in. And there's a reason why it's so cheap. Check out the dip. Like, that's a significant dip. Now, over here, this is all the property. Right here. Goes all the way down. Now this area right here, this area is up pretty high. And it's fine. So you have all that to deal with. That's a significant piece of land. But this, right, not in the middle of the property, but on the third, is this. A pretty significant ditch. It's called a wash. Now, here we have maybe an easement. I don't know if I'd call it an easement. This property is maintained for the comfort and security of our animals. If you don't like that, please go away. I'm cool with that. I don't want to mess with your animals. Matter of fact, I like that. You don't like what I'm doing? Leave. All right, let's check this thing out. And I think I'll just park. Ooh, I almost fell down. Now let's check out some of this. This is a pretty sizable chunk here. And it's nice and raised here. Now the biggest problem with this piece of land is it's in a flood zone. Somebody's been hitting some bowls over here. And you have this wash. This wash runs basically from the mountains all the way through Las Vegas and through this area. And the city of Clark, or the county of Clark County, they're planning to redistribute this water by making basins and diversions. And I'm thinking about getting this piece of property here to be my new home. Building our building. And it's a really good deal because it's basically 2 acres for the price of 1 because of the flood zone. Now you can see where the water has built up these rocks right here. You can almost see the actual place where the water is going because of the piling of the rocks. So when you have a massive flood like the one that happened a few years ago, its water is coming around this house, and I'm wondering if these people are experiencing any flooding. But the water is coming from that direction, I think. It could be going this way. It's hard to tell. I'm going to see if I can see some directional movement here. But you can kind of literally see where the water goes. You know, see this little build up here? This kind of shows you where the water is, where it goes. Now, you've got all this vegetation build up here because of the water. Let's see how long it's been since some water. Ow! That hurt! That thing, whatever that is brutal. So there's quite a bit of broken rock here. It looks like it may have been dumped or something that's going to have to be removed. But this all looks like pretty decent high ground up here. Let me tell you guys, it's hot. But you know what's weird is, like, it's only hot if you're in the sun. I know that sounds dumb. The thing about Vegas, it's like only if you're in direct sunlight, which I am. I feel the burn of the sun, but I'm not feeling the heat of the day. And that's the cool thing about that, it's dry heat. So it's like if I was in the shade right now, if I had an umbrella right now, I'd be fine. It's just the physical burning of my skin, like being under a heat lamp. And that's really the trick, is just being in the shade. Because the air isn't hot. Anyway, this is one of the many properties I'm looking at. Do I want to buy a 2-for-1 deal and get twice the property, redevelop it? Or do I want to buy a smaller property for the same amount of money that doesn't require any of this? That's the question. Common for people to build elaborate walls and gates around their homes. You know, you can have just a center block thing like this guy does, or, you know, look at this. I mean, you got this big iron gate with a nice stone wall, and it looks like he's almost put these railroad ties there maybe as parking spots, or maybe they're water diversions. I don't know the purpose of them, but I mean, one hell of a wall. I like it. I mean, this is what I want. I want one hell of a wall. And this is not a slum neighborhood, this particular spot. You know, that's an impressive place. I mean, very nice house, nice neighborhood, amazing. And you can kind of do whatever you want here, because you'll see, you know, something that's built like a mansion, and then you'll just see some kind of other kind of place. And there's lots of these lots like this. Other property's gonna work with the wash running through it. I went and talked to some of the neighbors and talked to some of the, there's an easement that's part of that thing. It's just a disaster. Now this is another property I'm looking at. It's next to a giant like public park, which I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but this is a sizable piece of property. It's nice and flat and fairly dry. There is a raised up area over there I'm gonna check out. But this is another piece of property. It's right parallel to South Point, which is right behind me. A little bit further down Las Vegas Boulevard than I wanted to be. But, and I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing to be next to this park. Might be a lot of noise, baseball games, I don't know. And I don't know if that's gonna affect anything or not. But this is one of the other properties I'm looking at. Let's go check out some of the other stuff. So this is another property I'm looking at. It's a little further north. And it's kind of tripped out. Somebody's building like some kind of crazy castle over there, which is kind of weird. There's already a nice wall over on this other side. And the thing that I thought was really interesting is that, you know, I want to build like a replica of Graceland. And I noticed right out here on the property, there's already 2 big lions out front, just like Graceland. To me, that was a sign. I like this property. How far back this property goes, but there's gonna have to be a lot of earth moving, and I don't know about the easement between these 2 properties. I don't know if it goes all the way back to the fence. I think it does, but that'd be a lot. Another crazy property I'm looking at, a little bit further north, right next to Las Vegas Boulevard, and it's a weird property because there's like this fence, there's a dip, but the lot lines show that it goes all the way back. And there's a lot of these lots that, you know, they've never been developed, and a lot of times the neighbors just kind of take unofficial ownership of them, you know? And it's a little odd. It would take a lot of earth moving to straighten this out, unless of course you wanted to have like a 2-level thing, which is kind of what the neighbors have done. A lot of vegetation growth here. Neighbors, you know, put a lot of effort into their lawn. But they've built this weird dip, and maybe they didn't build it, maybe they just took advantage of what was here. But it's like they've built this this drop down, and I don't know, you know, from the lot lines it looks like this would all be my property, actually cutting actually behind that, going to that fence, all the way around that fence into here. But it would be very difficult to grade all of this. You know, you'd have to flatten it all out. And like, what do you do with that thing? And they're gonna have some difficulty getting their truck in and out of there, maybe, I don't know. It's kind of a weird property. You got some stables over there. It's interesting. Whew, it's hot. Second day of driving around looking at properties. I've come back to this one, the one with the lions. And I think that this one is my favorite so far. It's about 150 feet by about 300 feet. Maybe a little bit more, about 315 feet. Just depends on how far the easement comes out to the road here. I think that where this fence is and then where it goes back. So it's like 150 by 313 feet. That's pretty big. It's 1.25 acres. A couple of blocks that way is Las Vegas Boulevard, the south end of the strip. Mile or so that way, you got the airport, rental car areas. Go down that way, you got tons of shopping, everything you need. You got some horses over there, which is great because it's equestrian zone, which means it's agricultural, and there's no HOAs. You can get away with whatever you want. It just really comes down to how much trouble is it going to be to put in utilities, water, sewer, electrical, all that thing. But everything is run. I mean, there's neighbors on either side of me, so those things shouldn't be too far away. There's some really unique houses here. So I think I might put an offer in on it. I don't know. It's a pretty cool property, and I wouldn't mind living here. And this seems like it would be a great spot. Neighbors look cool, but it is in the desert. It is hot, but it's also hot as balls in Dallas. It's just there's no humidity. I was walking around, I bought this hat, this little safari hat, and I was fine with this hat on. So anyway, I'll update you further on this. I just let people in on the life of Videobob so you could see what's happening. And this is what we're doing. So far, this is the best property I've found. It's the most amount of land for the least amount of money in the best space. And there's lions out front, just like Graceland. Hey, everybody, I'm Videobob. If you want to follow this saga, make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications. See you in the next video.